Hey everyone, Dan here. We are about an hour after market close on Tuesday, June 1st. I wanted to give an update on the potential for a Tattooed Chef short squeeze, which we started talking about, I guess, a few weeks ago now. Basically, when this run up was taking place. But before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And let's jump right in. So, Tattooed Chef has been on this very nice run since about mid-May, so for the last 2 weeks or so. Sort of saw it stabilizing in a very sturdy double bottom situation here. That only stretched itself into the pre-market on that day, and then it really used it to start ascending to new levels, or to levels once again. So as we'll see in a little bit, it's just off of its year-to-date, or I guess 1 year lows. So that's really a positive sign. Another thing that looks like sort of is coming to pass here is sort of this bull flag coming in here, is flagging pattern. So what I'm going to be looking for is for it to edge itself out. As it's consolidating down, it is making some lower lows here. Okay, so here's our flagging pattern. I'm going to be looking for it to either catch itself right about where it is right now, because if you take a look, let's just box it in. If you take a look at all of the support that this encompasses here, okay, you got support here, here, resistance there. It's always a good sign. Support to resistance to support once again. And again, that's a good sign because when something has been both support and resistance, we consider it to be a much stronger zone for future support. If it can't make a go of it there, if it can't sort of maintain there, the next spot that I'm going to be looking at is right around here because of this previous topping out over here. And I would sort of like put the top end maybe just below, cut off the top end of that to form the bottom of this box, and then come up a little bit off of it, because oftentimes when it comes back down to previous resistance levels, if it is going to make a bullish move, it very well may reject that sooner and not even reach all the way down and continue its way back up. Good news is, even if it does come all the way down there, which looks like a steep drop, we're still well over $20. So still in a much better position than we have been for much of the year. So I'm going to put purple there. I think moving forward is going to be areas that I'm looking for a bounce zone. I don't know if I should put it purple or green, because green also I take that as a buy signal. Same idea, if this bounces here I would take that as a buy signal, but who knows. But anyway, that's what I'm looking for from Tattooed Chef. And the reason why this is important for a short squeeze is, we can't let the price keep getting driven down, because that keeps the shorts in it. The good thing is, after all of this move, the short interest maintained a high level, and I think them getting some small victories here actually continues to help a short squeeze to pan out, because they're going to be that much more bought in potentially, and then sort of like the squeeze will hurt them that much more. But anyway, the RSI right now is about mid-range, so nothing preventing more buying pressure from coming in from that perspective. On the MACD, we do have a fairly recent bullish crossover. We're in below baseline territory on the MACD, so that leaves a lot of run room to the upside. If we could regain some of these levels that we saw here on the histogram, that would be excellent. And especially if we could get the MACD line to stretch up maybe to 0.7 or so, that would be a fantastic move. If we take a look at the VWAP to see where that sort of like might be lending some support, it's right there with it right now. So nothing really incredible there. The ATR, which I know we haven't talked about much, but 0.26, so maybe I'd leave a little, like a quarter on the dollar value for it to stretch down below these highs in case it gets caught in a little bit more of a down pattern, but I would really expect a bounce there if it doesn't just break out of this trend right now. That's the other potential that I guess I should point out is, it could certainly get itself into a box right here tomorrow, right, and just get on this previous level of support, turn that to resistance. That'll be the first thing we want to see. It's weird to say we want resistance on the uptrend, but it's actually true in the high 21s. So if we get some resistance just before 22 tomorrow, that would be excellent. That would mean that we're out of this flag, and this could be our big potential to upswing. We should see a new channel forming this away if that happens. And if it doesn't, then again, I'm going to be looking at the purple box. But that would be my my bullish hope for tomorrow. Let's flip over to the short data to sort of like get you updated on what's going on. So TTCF is right here. Data as of May 14th, so not super up to date. This is, I'm sure, was in our last video as well, but over 30% of the float being shorted as of 5/14. Just under a symbol which we cover a lot, SoFi, which has been short squeezing and still has a long way to go in my opinion. TTCF, the borrow rate, so we saw a big tick up here nearly to 50% and then a big drop down, and then it sort of came back and stabilized a little bit. So it's staying in this sort of decent range. I would like to see this get more into like the 60s, 70s would be really ideal for me. But the reason that I wanted to sort of pop in today with an update here is, we are seeing a bit of a trending up toward the 30s. I know it came down later in the day, but I think that's okay. Overall, the day itself, we saw some upticks early on in the fee. But the other thing to notice is, the availability here, 200K, and then somebody borrowed, or several people borrowed 170,000 shares, broke that availability down to 30K, and then since then it's sort of like gone a little bit up, a little bit down, but right now it's still staying just at 40. So this to me says, at least from this data, and this comes from Interactive Brokers, this 40K number staying where it is, basically says kind of what we were talking about over here. As they're getting a little bit of a win, nobody's really closing out their positions. But that says to me that even though the price is coming down a little bit and they're not closing out positions, I'm going to take that as potentially a signal that they have a lot more to go in order to make their positions profitable. So, if we look at, not sure who has it. They have days to cover. So 8 days to cover, says Market Beat. So that's a ton. It's almost 2 trading weeks. And so if we, look back all those days, which we won't because it'll just be nauseating because these update every 15 minutes. So I don't want to, do that to you. But, if we look back at the price action 8 days ago, we have, this is today, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they were potentially borrowing those shares, right here around the $19, $20 area. And so now all of their shares are significantly more expensive, and they've been paying this fee of, probably around 30% or so, maybe a little lower because this dipped down to 9, but they're paying a fee to hold those shares, which now they're already underwater on. And it appears to me that no one's closing them out. But again, it's a long time to hold. They're taking 8 days plus to close positions. So I think that there's a lot of potential here. I still think so, especially if TTCF can get some good PR, some good news that brings additional traders into play and drives the price up again just organically. That'll start to put so much more additional pressure on these shorts. We see the dollar volume sold short is the highest that it's been, rose by 8 million. Has been on a solid uptick here for this for the length of this chart. Increase over the previous month. So the shorts are continuing to come in. That's shown really strongly here. So while The percentage change dipped quite a bit from 430 to 514 on those reporting dates. The percentage of the short obviously continued to rise, and I'm not worried about a slight downtick in how high people are, like how high the percentage is of more shorts coming into play, because look at how enormous these numbers are: 20s, 30s, 40s, 30s, 50, nearly 60, and then still has another 10% almost bump on the most recent one. Whereas these previous downticks were very minimal compared to how big these upticks are. There's still a lot of shorts coming into the picture here. The days to cover are rapidly increasing, and the fee, if we can get that increasing, again, I think I would really love to see it in the 60s or 70s. That to me would have the potential to really kick things off. I'm going to refresh this here to see if we can get today's data or the start to today's data. Nope, it's just not coming in yet. But we see here the short volume ratio as of the 28th. That was nearly the highest that it had been, or it was on the higher end of recent days, in this column here. So this is all just to say shorts are still coming in. We don't have the full picture of the shorts yet because, in my opinion, they're still coming in quite strongly, and they haven't been scared off yet. And especially with a few days of feeling like maybe things are moving in their direction, finally. Could be giving them sort of like the audacity to stay in and incur those fees, even if they got in around the $19, $20 mark. All right, well, I would keep an eye on the purple box. I'd keep an eye on the blue box, and tomorrow will be an interesting day because, we could get caught in the middle here, just sort of like this area. But I think it's pretty likely that we hit one of these boxes tomorrow. It'd be really interesting if we hit both. I'm looking to potentially take an additional tattooed chef position. I haven't closed any of my positions yet, so I'm feeling pretty good about this one. I think the potential is still very, very strong, and those are the things that I'm going to look for in order to make my decision. But do your own due diligence, figure out what's going to work for you with your risk to reward sort of tolerance level, and the facts as you see them. You might be looking at these same sets of data and saying like, you're nuts, like there's no squeeze to be had here. So figure it out for yourself, but just some things to think about. All right, well, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.